name right. Okay, thank you so much. Yema atifo nyina ne wherever you're joining us from, no, yeah, the Nyankopon has said, and Sunday or day nyina ba be shiamu ewo ha. I know that Sundays can be a very busy day for almost all of us, but we've made it a point to say nyina ba be shia ha na ya ba be shia ade kakra. Na enam sa suntino membese be take so much time because there are a lot of things that we need to cover. And yeah, Baba be sharing something about chronic diseases, which most of us we know. And the choir befa so you bet me a free stage, you know. And I'm gonna share my screen and then we'll start our studies for tonight. There's a particular reason why this particular addition and name is so important to me. Na nientia important to me say do stage be your health and anyway say no, we need to have a change. I say yes a sunny makakra kwaya fast so managing anyway say we realize we've gotten to a critical time, especially for us Adventists we need to make a change because make a change, you know. I think we've joined the fray. The Bible said also Jesus said, I pray that you will be in the world, but you are not of the world. But the problem, sometimes I use this as an example. What it means, it's just like you have a boat. Say on the streets of Queens, maybe one of the popular streets in Queens, if you use a boat, I think you'll be surprised because the next thing you're going to say is this boat belongs to water. Like it belongs to the sea or it belongs to the river or where you normally see boats. But at the same time, it's a paradox. At the same time, boats should be in the water. No? If water gets into the boat, what happens to the boat? It drowns. So yes, the boats need to be in the water, but the water cannot be in the boat. It's a similar thing. We also have to be in the world, but we are not of the world. Make some change, but we cannot allow the world to get into us because when the world gets into us, we are going to sink. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a point whereby when it comes to our health, most of us are sinking because your health message in Nyoma. The spirit of prophecy, we're not doing it. And then I'm saying, it is causing our boat that is supposed to be on the water, no, we are sinking with the rest of the world because we are not making those changes. Now, I'm saying, so my favorite text when it comes to health is Jeremiah 33 verse 6. And he says that, behold, I will bring health and cure, and I will cure them, and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. Yes, also the akwahosan bebre. No be say yare. No so obey that ne no kore ne na sumdue ayeden ayedoso obede ne di ede achere. I try to paraphrase the tree ne kakra. So God intend for us, and say he wants us to get better. God wants us to get better. And he wants to reveal that to us. And then I think that tonight is one of the mediums in which God wants to reveal his truth, his peace. How a person of us to know say he want to reveal that to us. So we are discussing healthcare or lifestyle medicine, a time for a paradigm shift. Now, for most of us, we know that when it comes to health, there are so many things that actually make. we know that health is supposed to be a natural thing. Onyankopon boy, he made us healthy in the Garden of Eden. He provided everything that humanity needed to be healthy. So health is a natural thing that should, by default, we should have. We were not created to get sick. We were not created to have diseases. So diseases are unnatural, and health is a natural state. So the question is, how did we get here? And what can we do to prevent that? For those of us who grew up in Ghana, or who have been a little bit of age, you remember I said some time ago, or on your screen, these were the diseases that we're dealing with. Very, very scurvy, rickets, kwashiorkor. So those of us who are from Ghana, we know kwashiorkor very well. Those were the things that we're dealing with: polio, rubella, diphtheria, mumps. Those were there. But now we've gotten to the point where we have the old world, and now we have the new world, which is the chronic, or what we call the modern world now. And this new world, what we have is this chronic disease we call the obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart diseases, coronary artery diseases, strokes, fatty liver, cancer. We have CHFs, congestive heart failure. These are the killer things that is happening. This is the new world. So there has been a shift where we are talking about very, very scary kwashiorkor because people are not getting enough food, they were not getting enough nutrition, to the point whereby now we've moved from that to the point whereby now we are dealing with these problems. Sometimes if you look at it, even in this country, if you look at dress size and all those things, those times you hardly find plus size. If you like, go to old movies and other things and look at when the population, or look at pictures of the population and look at how the population were. People were petite, nice shape, they almost suitor, slim fit, they almost saw my dresser nicely. Now we are going into plus sizes. I don't have any problem with plus sizes, but the problem is some of the problem, the challenges that is associated with most of these things. So how do we help? And I saw this and I found it very interesting. So you have a sink that is leaking, and then people are mopping the floor, and they are like, I can't keep up. And then at the same time, the question is, between mopping the floor and turning the faucet off, which one is the best? You have the problem and then the solution. But the challenge we find ourselves in right now, most of us, instead of rather turning the faucet off, we will prefer to mop the floor. And as we go along, you understand why. Screenshot this if you can, because this is where we find ourselves. Most of us, I thought that turning the faucet off is the most easiest solution. No, but most of us, we don't want that. We would rather take the mop and consistently be mopping the floor, because we don't want to deal with the root cause of the problem, but we rather want to be reactional. We are not proactive. And then by the end of the day, you be proactive for your own health, that you will not wait for the thing to happen, that you will not be mopping the floor, but rather today you make a decisive step, you take a decisive step to turn the faucet off, so that the leakage is not overflow. You not just clean it up, but you also prevent other water from coming in. And my thing is, stop mopping the floor and shut off the faucet. That is the best solution for us. We are not going to mop the floor, we are going to shut off the faucet. So the question is, how do we actually do this? Problem and solution. Now, we've come to know that science is evolving, and now you have AI. So the problem we have in this, as science is evolving, medicine is also evolving to the point whereby we are looking at within progress and digression. But unfortunately, the progress we thought to say science will provide us for us to make, when it comes to our health, most of us are divesting into an area that is becoming dangerous. So we find ourselves in a medical maze. That is where most of us are. And if you look on the left side, that is where we find ourselves, medical maze. You get sick, you do tests and measures, you're giving medications. That is the medical maze. But that is not the original plan of medicine. The original plan of medicine was to keep us healthy from getting the diseases in the first place. But because we've gotten to a point in our world where money and greed has taken precedence over your health, and right now healthcare is becoming money oriented. It is business, and they know, sir, it is a big time business. Because for instance, if I can have Accra at the age of, let's say, from 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, already Accra is already obese. Then I know, say, for the rest of Accra life, obenya diabetes, obenya probably congestive heart failure, obenya coronary artery diseases, obenya any of those things we talked about. And for the rest of life, if you're a business person, that person will be on medication to say, when you're one client for the rest of their life, to say, 70 years, for 60 years of their life, they are going to work to use their money to pay you. But most of us, we don't see it like that. We say we are making money, we are working it. But imagine if that money was invested in something else. So we are looking at that, and I want us to take a world food paradox. Let's take a look at it. Around the 1920s, a lot of the things that, like I mentioned, look at the disease that we had. We're dealing with malnourishment. In 2020, from pandemic time in the year, we are finding ourselves with overfed people and undernourished. That is the paradox we find ourselves. From earlier time where people didn't have enough food to eat. And say migrating from Ghana because a community but now yet the community brand flow. And now we find ourselves in a situation where we are overfed and undernourished. Meaning, you did to the point where but the nourishment that you need rather goes down. So now this is the situation we find ourselves. We've moved beyond malnourished to this. So if we take a look at our modern world, the current medical problems we have, it's not a surprise. So mostly, the problem we are having with the health, is not an anomaly of our body physiology, and yet with the end I can say no, a normal body reaction and as a response to one excessive empty calorie burden. It's empty. System. 2, lack of health promoting nutrients. Lack of exercise. And because we have these 3 things lacking in your current your body the normal physiological response and I said the normal response that comes for every action, there's a response that comes out with it. The normal body reaction to what we are experiencing is because it's a garbage in, garbage out. And to say, we're gaining 20 pounds, 30 pounds. You just didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden you gained that weight. That weight now we're gaining was just a result of all the progressive junk food you've been eating and then the excessive feeding you've been doing over a period of time. And then, so for the past months, we are in the middle of the year. So from January to now, so we're gaining more weight. So health and you are getting more knee pain, you are getting more. It is not something that just happened. It is because of all the bad habits and the indecision of excess empty calorie, less nutrients in your food, and the lack of physical exercise or activity in your life within the past 6 months. And who's when is brain. So sometimes people think that you don't believe it, and I'm like, it's not like that. So stop blaming Obi Otigana and Nasa of a bill and Nebini we say, and stop blaming them that they are the one who have been bewitching you. At the time, and I would say again, you didn't see anybody bewitching you. When you got the results of your own empty calories, lack of exercise, poor nutrition, and you get the results with sickness, you blame somebody. So na to yarema, obiam to yarema, one out of. And sometimes, whenever I had the privilege of talking like this, people are like, you are being too high. I'm like, I'm not being too. I'm just being a realist. You cannot expect to make progress in places you put no actions in. Let me give a simple example. When it comes to money, I always say people understand that better. You move the door, send a befa ATM card, and I say befa bank card. Niako bank is here to withdraw money when we've never deposited anything there. Me sure so will be obeyed by not doing you about them. But how possible say you don't exercise, you don't eat well, you eat all those food portion size, you have no portion size in your food, you eat too much, you eat late. Then when the health problems comes, then you act surprised. Why? We need to make a change. We've actually made a shift, and the shift we've made, is that we've moved from the state, we are moved from this where we like, if people will talk about now, if we talk about evolution of food or evolution of our lifestyle, we've moved from this point whereby now we are here and to the point where right now the world is where we are having worldwide obesity. And right now the world is gaining weight over 30 pounds. And that is the problem, and that is what we need to change. Remember some interesting statistics. Right now, 1 in 3 adults are overweight. In the South Nipa 3 beyond, in fact, the Queen's Ghana SDA Church, Open Nipa 3 beyond Jinawa, emu baku overweight. 1 in 8 in Tisefa Nipa 8 beyond Jinawa. Queen's Ghana SDA Church, 1 out of the 8 is obese. And right now, the World Health Organization in 2016 data, this is even just 2016, you do 2024, so you can just imagine the change that happened. It was estimated, say, between that time, 1975 to 2016, that period when we had this study, people have gained over 300 pounds. The global obesity problem has tripled. And more estimated say if the current trend in it was we will get to a point whereby we are moving from being overweight to obese to severely obese. Until we are moving from underweight less than 18.5 to normal weight between 18.5 to 24.9 to overweight above 25 to 29 to obese to 30. And the problem is that maybe someday we can discuss the challenges with some of this obesity. The reason I'm stressing it, and then say the challenges that comes with this, it will amaze you. That is the problem we are having right now. So the leading cause of death, the 10 leading cause of death are these. But I must say there's one missing, and I think I forgot to mention, and it said the third leading cause of death in the United States. We're the leading cause of death in the world, but the third cause of death, the third leading cause of death in this country is medical negligence. So we had disease in a cancer free world. The third leading cause of death in United States is medical negligence. Meaning, say, people have more susceptibility to die from going to the hospital. Meaning, if we don't take care of our health, then we say, even going to the hospital now, we are supposed to get health care. No? We have a higher chance of dying just because of doing that. People die from going to the hospital more than even car accidents. It is so true. Then going to the hospital is even worse. And this is the problem. And all of these, the heart disease, the cancers, the stroke, the chronic respiratory problems, the diabetes, and all these things, almost all of them are lifestyle related. That is what is causing it. The lifestyle. So, in a study that was done, right now they call it what they call the syndemic. COVID plus our all chronic diseases are here. And we need an urgent action to deal with all of this. With all the statistics for the sake of so that we can have some time for questions. The causes of death as of 2017, you say cardiovascular diseases, cancers, medical. The funny thing then they said the number of death by risk factor. Nyoma a massa lifestyle diseases risk factors, high blood pressure, smoking, high blood sugar, air pollution, obesity, and diet high in sodium, diet low in whole grain, low in whole grains, alcohol use. So I expect to say you will not, but they say most Adventists even we drink more than even the non-Adventists. Be in the world, but not of the world. We are allowing the water to get into our boat, and we are sinking with the world. My mama, the state of the states. My mama, another example. As at 1976, this is the level, the obesity level. This is where we were. And what we see in it said, the calorie consumption, the average calorie consumption have spiked from this point to that point. Around this time, and we're around just about 2000 now, the average calorie per food the people are taking is over 2,600. And also so much level of obesity and diabetes to the point of now people are Ozempic has become an important thing. But sometimes I tell people and they say, and then they agents Ozempic, but very soon within the next 5-10 years we will see all the harmful effect Ozempic has brought. And right now the research they've done and they say people who stop taking Ozempic, they realize that within a short time, they go back, they start gaining all the weight. Why? Because they've not changed their lifestyle. Because diabetes, obesity, it's a metabolic problem because they have low mitochondria. Their body cannot metabolize so it's just sitting there causing all these problems. My memo CDC published this paper. In the 1950s, the typical American diet, burger, drink in USA. This is what they realized. A typical burger, fries, French fries was from 2.5 ounces, it drew 6.7. The burger was from 3.9. Now it's now at 12 ounces. Soda those times was 7 ounces. Now soda have gotten to 42 ounces. Now the funny thing I man when they say yeah Ghana for because a committee you buy or corner or no one no so you say we bit as many caps or corner or no. And now thanks to social media, you see Ghanaians we say aduane no ya ye aduane we say na egwari wa mu bebre na nam bebre gusu na kwani we say na everybody says oh chop better or no he's enjoying life like he's having. I'm like, that is not life. So in life ask our brother na ebe to mo ha no ba ye de see edidi chepe na ye entade na ta wogu your kom those time na ye wo di fufuo na we say no There's no problem with your food. It is the overeating, the lack of portion size, and here we have no room for physical activity or exercise or anything of that sort. Intimate obesity in the US here is a problem. The US obesity problem has increased by 50%. Like meet mama state by state examples. By I just want to go on just with some of these statistics. You know, I can give you state by state. So we've gotten to a point whereby within this US by 2030, like I mentioned earlier on, the average BMI, the BMI of anybody is going to be over 30, meaning we are going to move beyond 30, like obesity, to severe obesity where we have about 35. Recently in clinic, I had a healthcare professional, and you know the funny thing is that healthcare professionals are the worst culprits. That is why knowledge is not enough. Knowing is not enough. Doing is the big issue. You can have an intellectual knowledge of something, but if you don't put it into practice, it's as useless as somebody who doesn't know. In today, be a for you, and you what the spirit of prophecy, and you what the inconscience, and you what the health message. Ask yourself, how many of them do you practice? So your knowledge is not enough. And the knowledge I won't find is as useless as somebody who doesn't have it. Because only you have the same response. God expects better from us. Now, and I just want to go on because of Emrena Echo Debris. Right now, we have what we call rapidly worsening unsustainable trends, like the way a numerous economy. It is getting worse. My memo is another example. Currently in the US, 1 in every 4 young adults are too heavy for our military. So just last week, Congress passed a law. Say, right now, they are going to make sure say anybody who gets the age 18 to 25, you get into an automatic enlistment into the military. Why? The reason is that people who were voluntarily enlisting for the military has gone down so low, say they don't get people to enlist because most of them on Bebano, they are too obese for the military. 1 in every 4 young adults. So this is not just for older people, for young people. The food industry are taking our young people because we have trained our kids to be lazy. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do anything. All they do is for you to cook, for them to sit there and eat and be on their phones and computers. That's it. Mama, another one. Just 1 in 4 adults meet the physical activity guidelines. Now, in CDC presentation, Unim said only 6.8% of Americans does anything called strength training. Only 22.8% of Americans do anything called physical activity. And they're saying that fewer than 1 in 10 children and adults eat the recommended daily amount of vegetables. 1 out of 10. The question is, way, isn't that what E.G. White talked about? Isn't that what the health message is about? But we are not. We talk about new starts. You hear life expectancy. Life expectancy within the US was growing gradually until we hit the age 2000. Then life expectancy started coming down. Now it is expected, say, now the average life expectancy within the US, so also maybe I just Google it out, have to use that it has either plateau or start coming down. Why? Our lifestyle, our eating habits have changed to the point that now we've started to start coming down. Our life expectancy is going down. So the issue is, can we avoid this? So the goal is we have lifespan and then we have health span. Lifespan, I can live up to 80 years. And living up to 80 years for 40 years of my life, I cannot do anything productive. And you think some of these things is not true. The current work I'm doing right now, trust me, there are a lot of, and I was amazed to see the number of people who are now homebound. Recently, I visited a patient. Can you imagine, and I saw the pictures, the man lived life, the suit, then the furniture in the house, and then the man is stuck in his couch. If you want me in room near what top now, or done a couch, a order. And on the bedside commode, a sin chain, sebio. Bedside commode, and now say, once sebi, so open Jana and come, Mano de Sumas and Penny from Fanchaman, Ghana, Quebec, Kuraba, a sin chain. There's nobody around him. When I had to go visit and do house visits in the court, he has to get somebody to come and open the door and not done and chain. As at 1 p.m. no DD. And sometimes when I hear people say, "Oh, Dog Jaja, you be wintiana," I'm gonna tell you, say, trust me, it won't be down on here. And I bet and I pray you don't get there. I'm a bet and pray. First, I time no. Ufufu na do go everyone do trap pictures. Now, can't say I'm living life, no. Ube kayesu. Ube kayesu. Because and then crofona woni omuko na muko didino na mo this away and most people enjoy life, no. Okay, so what them those people will not be there. They will not be there. Omuko I look at the man and I nearly cried. He's living in his own house, but he feels like he's living in a prison. You can add life to your years. And not just years to life. So you can live, like I say, 80 years. But if 40 of them, what can them now with that couch, you are more than dead than alive. But the good news in NNSA, the things that makes us healthy, is just 10%. Healthcare. Nioma am I healthy, I'm not good health, Healthcare na ye di emre nya so you America healthcare just makes you just the things that make you healthy. Healthcare just form 10%. But you be micro you was so wait mom you know why my genetics obi also the woman. Our genetics just form about 10%. But say even with our genetics, now we know something we call epigenetics. You say your lifestyle changes. You can actually change your entire genetics just by your activity. Through epigenetics, that's what we know right now. The things that actually make us healthy, 70% of them 50 to 70% of them is through lifestyle. And most of your na ye bebre no yan fan we Misha say medical cancer by default God created us to be healthy. Yan fan most of the areas they see ye no yan fan we a lot of them 70 to 80% of them ye su any ye ban any ye. Like I said, Time Magazine published it. Genetics versus epigenesis, nature versus nurture. Oh, biwa mabusu omunyana no more diabetes no munyana. I'm telling you, the entire now mabusu omunyana diabetes are also because the way I now musi didi no and I also atwa na wusu didi sa so garbage in garbage out. And now say and you see say obi ono wo family no so be decide say we are now musi didi no and then the way musi ye madua nene we say no ono betesa to you realize that their health changes from the others. In the first, near friend say generational curses, it's not. It's because it said you decided to go the same route. Your father, your mother, your grandparents, you also decided to do the same thing, and you do not expect to make the same mistakes and get a different result. No. So when you know, you trust they go so. Make her when they be a Boston baby be share adventure. So no, slim person or just a slim too. Me there you need to buy the New York Canadian just me buy the the turn him channel my trust any be there. I'm like young. So this person or just a slim obenya diabetes ways no we need blame na be otigana so omo na mpen yo okwa bruchi no makuno. So not I know trust radio to aduane so. Lifestyles. So normally we say genetics load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. You buying? The question is, how do we change this? I've already mentioned them: diet, exercise, and lifestyle medication, lifestyle modification. And most times, what do? We do not have to do a lip service. We just have to do the right thing. Right now, it's about the paradigm shift. Is eat, move, sleep well. The roots of the root causes. Technology, comfort, and conflict. Most people are not eating well because they ain't eating well now. And then sleep apnea is on the rise. Because when people get obese now, breathing, there's so much fat surrounding the diaphragm, which is a muscle. So they are not getting enough oxygenation into the brain and every vital parts of the body, to the point that sometimes it causes them to even get strokes. Most people cannot sleep because metabolism and because they are not able to metabolize it, they are getting diabetes because now the food that are not being metabolized is turning into fat in a city. And because they are becoming too fat in any way, they cannot move. And because they cannot move, their sleep quality goes down. Now and because of it causes them to eat more, so they live in this cycle. And then there's that disconnect. The acute care model, hospital system, and then they say, yare, no aba, and then all this sophistication within the hospital. Now this is where we are going to: blood pressure, amputations, and all these things. So the paradigm shift, and then they say, we need an end today all these chronic problems. So in a short, when we talk about lifestyle medicine, it is preventing, managing, or reverting chronic medical problems through positive lifestyle changes. Positive lifestyle changes, any of the best diabetes, I need And the funny thing is that healthcare professionals are not immune to this. Yet, I will just cut it short. Papa, this man is a cardiologist. This is lifetime medicine coach. These are all medical professionals. Beginning of the year, I was in San Antonio. The whole city decided to have a conference to turn the whole San Antonio city into a blue zone. I was invited as one of the speakers, and I met these wonderful doctors. Papa Way, yeah, Dr. Han, he's one of the top cardiologists at Kettering Hospital or Ohio. This man was on Lipitor. His cholesterol was over the roof. He was obese. I think I don't have the picture, but I will have shown you his picture before. This man is now no doctor no, now have stopped taking the medications because he decided to use diet and start working out. In fact, on San Antonio, we did 5K. The entire community decided to run with us that Sunday. This man here is another church. He's an Indian, also said the same thing. Ne billboard Udru San Antonio was there. He did the same thing. He decided to change that with his family. Another internal medicine doctor, the same thing. These doctors they are also healthcare professionals. Realize that they themselves have to leave there because they were on medications and other things. Most of us, we go to see our doctors and they tell us lose weight, and you look at the doctor and say like, let me say, remember no call. But this is where we find ourselves. This is Dr. Boger. This man will tell you this is how much he gained. He decided to change from the food in the family, the typical Indian food, to getting nutrients and other things. And now, because of his entire family started working out with the family. This is how the man was. Look at him right now. And now, his own idea, and then they say he copied from this doctor. This Papa Way, honestly, an Indian doctor, who actually had an open heart surgery. This man now ran marathons after heart surgery. Dr. Kill, he nearly died at 61. He ran marathons. When you're 30, what in the media, I'm too old. And made the many until all of a sudden. You think say your life have come to a standstill, but who follow selling certain celebrities on TV and all those things are almost 3, 4, 5. They still have their body, they work out and who they all back because why wouldn't you cannot be healthy. Our culture set our women up for failure. And the thinking then they say, oh, bad dear, what so say, no, I be break no way say. Why do you let yourself go? Unfortunately, most of our women have moved from our Coca-Cola shape when they were before marriage to beer bottles. For the men, the least said about them is sad. Most of our men have become pregnant men who are never going to give birth. As funny as it sounds, it's a big problem. And then all of a sudden, we think that is a sign of good living. No, you are dying. So, we are moving from illness to wellness, where we are changing from symptoms, chasing symptoms. The traditional way of medicine, and like I said, labs, near imaging, near investigation, and I say, near more diagnosis, near more medication. The movie the boy and Hosafo in the Ebeko committee, me diabetes, and sometimes we say this thing with some pride as if say it's a status symbol. Me wa kumayari o, me wa diabetes o. As if say ade e say the wa. 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 As if So we are moving from standard American diet of all the burgers and other to eating food that have vegetables, and then we are talking about move. So lifetime medicine approach, we are not going through the test, disease, and diagnosis. We are talking about eating portion size, moving between 150, and most time moving, I tell people, brisk walking. Maybe sometime we will talk about physical activity specifically, how to do that to even change most of these things. Sleep 6 to 7 hours. Stop binge watching movies and other things to the point that you don't sleep. And try WhatsApp so nim command concern. Hey, munya ba wumiane nana kufa do no mo so mo problem. You will not solve the problems in Ghana by sitting here and being on radio ni TV. So etie ba wumiane nana, all this what it won't help you. And stop stressing yourself over things you can't change. What for Ghana better now? That's what MPP ni NDC. And your blood pressure is going on. You can't NDC for someone who akuma uhuri. You can't MPP for someone who akuma uhuri. And will any of them care for you? No. And let's build social connections. And let's build relationship. Social connection is one of the important health things. But because he doesn't have social connections, he's like a prisoner in his own home. Unhealthy behavior, the drinking and all those things. Some of the things that we think that and no just when near being, unfortunately, it is backward. Maybe one of these days we will come back, but E.G. White can't be. And I like it so much. Anybody who have listened to me or may come once and say, all our habits, taste, and inclinations must be educated in harmony with the laws of life and health. By this means, we may secure the best physical condition and have the mental clearness to discern between evil and good. Or say, a person I dream of daho near to me who ba papa ne bonimun sun yeah. I say ye text them ye no de no way say no. It must be inclined in the harmony with the laws of health. Now, confirm that so can in the same book, Counsels on Diet and Food, or say majority of our diseases with the human family has been and still are suffering from. Or say yaria who do any way say nipa yabusium dokore no. Or say they are created by ignorance of their own organic laws. Or say nyoma I say yebuye niegu nyoma onyankopon dia emrane nyoma o dia man say yemfa manua onyankopon dia man say yemfa nhwe ye ho so ne yentimi nya ahode no ye ho say as ye nim. Or see they seem indifferent in regard to the matter of health. Ye mu bebre ne ennyoma efa ya pomodin ho no emfa ye ho ye pesika. They seem indifferent about it. And listen to the or say and they work perseveringly. Or see, to tear themselves to pieces. Or see, and when broken down and debilitated in body and mind, they send for the doctor and drag themselves to death. And you make us the same way. And the inconscient woman make us the same way. Most of us are killing ourselves just because we want to impress people who don't even care. We want to drive some wild cars, have some one house, ewo Accra, Kumasi, Bahu, Yekurum, Yemo Bebe, any Yekunu, Wesika, because Yen Yapesi Kosifio, Yebusium, Wesupesokos, and Yekun Yahuya Juma, neglecting our health, we are tearing ourselves into pieces. And then when we get sick, we drag ourselves to death. Now I want to conclude by Idiwa Asemoko say, Health is a treasure. Of all the temporary possessions, it is the most precious. The most temporary possessions, your fee na your cars na your neoma na your de your mempeso biabe, your degrees I know all of that. Of all the temporary possessions as I see, health is the most important. Because trust me, if you don't have health, wabron sana wesino. Wouldn't cause no akoda. Ubeta couching. If your health is not there, kana watono. Ubeti kwan obefa akokota na ka numetu. If your health is not there, we see kana onu nkofo de be diama because ube weja onu ma pedi. If your health is not there, whatever you think say is important to you, no. A Jumana wouldn't say it's important to you, no. If your health is not there, you see what will happen. They will lay you off and find somebody who is more productive. Of all the things, the temporary possessions we have in this life, the most precious is our health. Amen.
Amen. Dr. Idosipa for this year and watch a chama and Yankopon Shapa. I hope say I will line so ne ya from Yonkodoradio DOES ya addition ye tie pana ye debe yeah juma way life move. We're gonna change our lives from the unhealthy lifestyle and the unhealthy eating to a healthier way of life, everybody to live a longer life. It was a powerful this year. Yankopon Shapa. Whereas also at the Yonkodoradio for us say every Sunday be a mobile record a program in my sound live streaming or on my YouTube channel. No. It almost pass every Sunday be a more ebe record a program in my recording near ready or more the better Queens Women Ministry WhatsApp group line na or more. Atimi share around and will be a tea program maybe. But although your time a corner so will be a question now 1 or 2 questions be a patrol with media bana doctor answer my
you patrol me question be doctor Edward I mean probably now myself this time say you say wait yet and now you be because me wait is say now you be one thing.
Technically, no. The normal weight, no, and I say BMI now. BMI is calculated by it's an average of your weight over the height square. And you know, say we check BMI now. If you get between 18.5 to 24.9, that is what we say normal weight. Okay. If you BMI beyond 25, we say you are overweight. If it is between 30 to 35, we say you are obese, you are severely obese. You are obese. Anything beyond 35, you say you are severely obese. Yeah.
Oh, sir.
Patrai.
Na mpesa musa yeni ayenyi ko di mukakara yani yefura yekesi yeni ewu etebu anyeduane na edi na man basa yenyi ni ndia
Ma I think that some of them metima can say bi manu desumina so say ye wo no obi eno ye wo no na fu ayekese ana meboa aha nieba nene say nioma ni bi no because for minimum fee for over 20 years 30 years nioma ya ye no all these years na abobo so na abedu sabre the good thing is we can do certain things. They be na be kind. The drainage, physical activity. To say on why you better mo kroma no. They be say bro for you. We so no mo kroma krama no mo nam street or no mo nante. No okay. Anyway, say this I want say how many Ghanaians are now say you cry your neighbor we how many of us and na edre numere yetimi actually say ye kwa nante or Abraham. How many of us?
Oh.
Mama meboa. Ye bi. Yenye. But the sad part didn't say yes any time. But how many times na I turn WhatsApp osudi nkomo? Aha. Yeah, what time for Neoma and Famfa so be amre. But Neoma be ma yenya ahoden na yaye we say no. Yenye. Hey, my example. Recently, I go to Washington Ghanaian SDO Church. What it is? It's ya me no. Nkoma ye dia. And I make it the same recommendation about physical activity. I'm catching them. What the enumerate she work in the hospital. I'm catching them. What the only just 10 minutes ago. Not or asthma and then she also was like, many the cat most or not take a crab and no one shortness of breath. Now I said, or so. And I'm catching on chassis or the 10 minutes every day. Last week, your come meeting, Chesapeake conference come meeting, a come meeting, your conference, a woman, your come meeting, it will get down. Oshia say, you know what, Dr. Ben? Yeah, the first 2 days or 3 days, and I'm a brew with so. But I will tell you, say, Bisamikuno, unim say, at 10 minutes, you know, first, na mitimiko 5 block, or say, mitimiko a whole mile. Me home na itesono sisi abafom sisi I see anyway say she started just 10 minutes.
Okay.
Sometimes I tell people say don't go do something because we need someone then. Just if there 5 minutes crowded every day consistently. You will see the effect and the benefit of that. Now I'm saying I wish I could bring her here for you to come and say, "Oh, my baby didn't dance here." These are the things I talk about and I tell people say these are not things that I've lived it myself. And I gave you these doctors anyway saying these are friends and people I've gotten to know. We can make changes. The problem initially it is going to be tough. But if you can be diligent, I say but so you're consistent, it become part and parcel of you.
Okay. Yeah.
That's man.
But that's it, but Doctor, that's about the more woman you can count on that boy. Amen.
You dog, what you must mean this as a break it down, and wrong map, perfect later. But instances are will be everything right. Maybe based on environmental situations. Now, even in it, a pesticide, chemicals, almost affect a physiology. Even I didn't able to counteract these situations.
Let me say, opinion. One of the things, like you said, there are certain environmental factors at which some people have been exposed to, and there's nothing we can do about that. And then it has happened, and yet because of by choice, it's because some of these things happen just because of environmental mobility, and it will say. But even with that, the negative effect of that exposure, we've noticed, and an American say through epigenetics, when people start introducing issues like diet and physical activity, even the effect of their exposure certain area worse, it actually lowers it. And most times I give this example, when you say I think you'll be happy to be able to at least walk 5-10 minutes without getting tired and say because that 5-10 minutes is enough to help you go to the bathroom and back. So sometimes there are certain things that we talk about generational exposures that it is not our doing, but we know through proper diet and physical activity, it is enough. And because maybe later we'll talk about the problem is that most times when we get some of these problems now, worse the inactivity that progressively happen over time. Over time, that becomes their problem. And only the man yare no krano, it exacerbates the sickness. It makes it even worse than it already is. The inactivity now happens over time, and that is what we are trying to mitigate. Medase.
Patrol your time no aso. Dan patrol doctor answer question number one. Okay. Patrol your time no aso into your day program no ebisi hay say for ne. Then Yankopon access so aboy am I timi esuasa disui. Edi ababeju sampempen so ya ye ba line nyina so ne 18 nyina so meda nyina ya se ye babeti program ni bi. Doctor say that say and they will take you time eba chair program yi ema ye Yankopon ensure pa. Mpacho ye free hay say no mpacho AJ say oh so with me abo in closing prayer na my na ye free line so. Okay, AJ ni so mpacho my patience with me abo in closing prayer na my.
Yeah, bonfire. You're riding a bankers here. You are yet. You come for your show. You come on. Yep. And well, crime so one number of sooner. I put to a Jasan can you easy come them from Nanky. And so another word from no mobile means one may a yana see, Surah, you count in what I am my. Yes, slow power child at the other my my from grass from. And from Mopra, the Francis say, I have found Colonel Maya Tosumi. The dog I was fine. So, yeah, the money Yansa, Ama say Yana, and Ripiara now, put in other kinds of a Paswa church. Shuran County, I in County, so it's a Paswani Shoy, I will be I will use to Christo the Amen.